For me, what keeps drawing me back to Very Scary People are the stories that we continue to discover. Desma Simon has come on board this season and just brought stories that feel different and feel new and feel like things that the audience will not have heard before. And I think that's important. It's fine to cover the mythical or infamous figures that we've all heard about, but to be able to bring new figures to the table, I think it gives the show energy. I think it gives me energy, and it challenges us to go deeper and find more to keep our audience compelled. And I think if we're all compelled here behind the scenes, I think that will translate well to compelling the audience out there. One of the things I learned on Blue Bloods early on was you never know how a case is going to be solved. You never know where that break is going to come from. And I remember in an early episode of Blue Bloods, our technical advisor told me the scene called for Danny Reagan to hand out a business card to someone at a crime scene. And I was like, it's going to be weird handing out these cards every episode. And he said, I can't tell you how many times I handed out one of those cards and got a phone call, and it broke the case. So it's like, when you learn that and when you've had that experience and come to understand that, it makes it, so interesting to then go into the process of discovering how these cases were cracked. And I think with the new season of Very Scary People, fans can expect to be afraid, be very afraid. It's serious stuff. We are telling a story. We are, entertaining the audience. But this isn't fiction. It's reality, and it's oftentimes tough to handle. So you have to try to be professional. I have to be professional as a presenter and as a producer, and just take emotion out of it as much as I can, but sometimes, it's difficult. We're this season on Very Scary People. What's new is we're in a new home. We're shooting in a new place. We have a new team working with us, finding incredibly compelling stories, and bringing infamous figures who aren't even infamous yet in some ways because a lot of people haven't heard of them. This season is different. It's fresh, and there are stories that I think haven't been covered and haven't been told that I think our audience is going to really find jarring and be fascinated by. It's important to remember, and I think it's one of the reasons we wanted more firsthand accounts this season, there are real human beings at the center of these cases who suffer and go through horrific situations, and their families are affected by it, their friends, their co-workers. It's not just one person, it's not just dozens of victims, it's hundreds and thousands of family members and acquaintances, that are also impacted. So it's a lot, and the closer you get to it by getting first-hand accounts, the more you're going to feel. I've always been a fan of true crime, I think for reasons that most people are. It's fascinating, it's unnerving, and I also think somehow the more we can watch or be exposed to, the more we can kind of try to get some understanding. I mean, we talk about sometimes people who commit these heinous acts as if their mind works the same as ours, and they don't. It's like, I don't know if I would have did that. Well, of course you wouldn't have done that because you're not crazy. So there's a need, I think, and a want for people to help alleviate our fears of what's out there and who's out there. And I think we do that by actually indulging in true crime and watching it to try to somehow get some understanding or close enough to it without actually being exposed to it that it can help us try to grasp somehow what's going on, or to know what to stay away from. When I hear some of these stories, there have been actual moments where I just had to pause, and kind of stop and say, wow. This is a true crime show, and these crimes are horrific in most cases, and they're not always comfortable. They're oftentimes difficult, and if it's difficult watching it, imagine how tough it can be researching it and doing the interviews. But the team that we have on this show, they work really hard, and they put themselves out there to try to, I think, go deeper. And for example, we really want more firsthand accounts this season. I think it's making the show a little bit more personal, and with that, it's going to become a little more emotional. It's one thing to have law enforcement or storytellers or narrators telling the story, but we're going to have a lot more firsthand accounts, and I think that it's going to add a lot of emotion to the show, and I think it's one of the things that's going to make this season a lot more compelling.